installing HVAC.
Welcome back to episode 2 of the Bold, White, and Blue podcast. What's going on, Justin?
Not too much. You got me up here. Morning, Josh.
Good morning. Good morning. So today, it's going to be, you're on the hot seat. We're going to grill you today. So this is probably going to be all over the place. We're going to get into a lot of different things, but I think this is something that people are going to want to hear. It's going to be all focused about you, who you are as the owner.
I don't have a problem with that. The main thing I want to do, though, is get back into other people. I want to meet some more people. I want somebody else to be on the hot seat once in a while.
Oh, we'll get there. Don't worry. That seat's going to get hotter and hotter
Six
every
people
week.
in my mind right now. I can't wait to get them up here and interview them. Awesome. It's going to be fun.
Well, today we got to start with you.
All right, let's go.
So, naturally, let's take it back to the start.
Okay.
Do you want to walk me through, early childhood, some of the places you started at?
You're going way back,
going
brother.
all the
Okay,
way.
you want to go back that far? I thought you were gonna, what happened when you started Ace? Going back to childhood, let's do it.
All right.
What you want to know?
So, from what I know, you moved around a lot. You lived in West Coast to East Coast.
Yep.
Is
And then
the
the
start
Deep
from what
South.
I understand. So, do you want to walk me through some of those places, kind of the ages you were at?
You know what's
and where you've
funny?
been?
Yeah, before we get there, though, I'm going to tell you something funny. My wife always messes with me. She calls me the chameleon because if I'm around my family from the West Coast, I'll start saying stuff like, and you Southern people plug your ears because you're going to hate this, but I start saying hunting and fishing.
Instead of hunting and fishing?
Yeah, she's like, it's not hunting, it's hunting.
Yeah, it's hunting.
But I never make that mistake when I'm hanging around my homeboys. I mean, it's hunting.
Right.
So I can also talk with that old slow Southern drawl from the Deep South, or I can crisp it up a little bit, go hunting. Whichever one you want.
This is all on the crowd.
No, so literally, like my formative years, 1 to 5 or 0 to 5, San Diego, California, then moved up to Washington, D.C., suburb outside of D.C., then Atlanta for a brief time, and then into the Deep South on the Gulf Coast, which for me were my favorite times. I really went from elementary school to high school in Mobile, Alabama, which is where I get probably that deep Southern accent that people ask you about a lot. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Then from there to Albany, Georgia for the remainder of my high school years. And then we went from there. My dad moved up here to Greenville. He was a traveling preacher. And then I went to Florida for a little while and got married there and then moved back up to Greenville.
So being in Greenville now, we're going to say this is your favorite.
Yeah.
But
You say Greenville's my favorite place?
I'm going
to
to say
live?
Greenville's your favorite.
It's a great Greenville. I tell my boys all the time because we've always spent our vacations, traveling back to my memory lane down there on the Gulf Coast. I love to fish, and we won't get ahead of ourselves here, but love fishing and fishing. Fishing. I love fishing. Okay.
I may have added an extra
Little fish
in an apostrophe on that one.
Okay, all right. So we traveling back the Gulf Coast, do some saltwater, some swamp fishing. Hey, I'd like to hear somebody comment on what's the difference between fishing and swamp fishing. Do you know what the difference is?
I mean,
Swamp
the body of water.
Swamp
Is that
fishing,
too
swamp
obvious?
fishing. There's a 2-day-old bologna sandwich coming out of the bottom of the tackle box. That just
It
is, man.
smells like the swamp.
But it doesn't matter. You're so hungry
So
and so
hungry.
tired, and that motor just won't start, and you just rowing it back through the swamp, pulling it back through the swamp, just trying to get back home, man.
What are you catching in the swamp?
You can catch anything. A lot of things you don't even want to talk about.
What do
here.
you want out of the swamp to catch? That's a better question.
Well, I mean, a lot of people actually fish for gators.
I've tried it.
Have you ever caught one?
Oh no, not the fishing
Oh.
part. I mean eating it. I've had
really?
like gator tacos.
Oh yeah. We used to try to catch them, shoot them. That was all part of the snakes.
Mm-hmm.
But bass fishing, pretty much always bass fishing.
Gotcha.
Cool thing about swamps, though, man, sometimes you're right there on the edge of them. You catch saltwater fish, bass, and you catch them all right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's all mixed. So
So your favorite is more the Gulf area.
the Gulf area.
Gotcha.
But I got off track, didn't I? Greenville. Okay. I tell my boys this is the best place in the world to live. And I think everybody in the United States is realizing that. It seems like everybody's moving here faster and faster. Couple hours to the mountains, beautiful trout streams, beautiful scenery, a lot of stuff to do up there. A couple hours from the ocean, a couple hours from big cities. Got nice downtown, got great climate. You actually have kind of 4 seasons, maybe not as crisp as you look for, but sometimes it is. We have beautiful falls. So, it's taken me a long time to actually trust swimming in the lakes here. Now, a lot of people are going to say, man, you probably should swim in some of our lakes here.
Well, I probably wouldn't
Man, I swim in
anymore.
Hartwell all the time.
I did.
It's better than the swamp.
Well,
my wife will tell you, I'll jump out of a pontoon boat and I'll curl my feet up to keep from hitting the bottom. I always have images of some kind of snapping turtle or
some gar.
Or I'm not worried about them, but the snapping turtles and snakes, man, there's so many down there. I'm going to bog down them. This is not about swamp fishing.
The swamp fishing.
It's not about that, man. But I can tell you a lot of stories about stuff that I would just flip over a log or an old tire out there and just what would come out of it. It's just huge snakes or nests. So to this day, the pontoon boat drifts too close into a cove or something. I've got to push it off some limbs. I ain't gonna let my wife go out there and do it for me, but I'm telling you, I'm down there, that mud squishing my feet. I'm still waiting. Yeah. So I love it. I tell the boys to enjoy it here. Jump in the water and swim anytime you want to. It is safe.
Mm-hmm. I was fishing Hartwell one time off the bank, and I thought I had me one. And I was a little kid, so what had me one at a little kid feels like versus now, who knows what it actually is.
What'd you have?
I'll tell you what I had. I was like, I got it. I was reeling, fighting it. Boom, just getting that thing. Next thing I know, I see a snapping turtle mouth flying out of the water at me. I'm sprinting.
So you hooked them? Oh
yeah, it's big cool. Old turtle, and I was just I'm tossing my rod. I'm running up the sea. Get me out of here. I thought I had it, and it was like, I guess
there are snapping turtles in Hartwell. I'm sure. So I guess I still need to think about that. But man, I'm telling you what, it's different. It's different here. Mm-hmm. My mom used to let us swim in a sign that said, "Don't feed the gators." I'm the oldest of 9 kids. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't even swim really. And we'd be jumping off this little kind of like a dock, but it's like a little connector between two pieces of land in the swampy area there, Mobile. Literally signs that said, "Don't feed the gators." And she's like, "If you're going to swim there, just make sure you tie an extension cord around your waist so I can pull you back." Was she trying to get rid of us or
tie an extension cord around your waist?
And literally, we swam. Mom was sitting up on top holding an extension cord, and we down there splashing the water. Think about that for a minute. Like,
got it done.
I mean, she loves us. I know she wasn't trying to get rid of me, but that was a pretty effective way of getting rid of a kid. Yeah. The only thing she could have done better is took us down there at night, hung a little chicken on her neck or something.
It's like, we got too many of them.
Too many, y'all. You got to go.
So you said 9. 9 of 9 siblings.
Yeah. Yep. I'm the oldest, so I have 8 brothers and sisters.
Growing up with
normal,
8
man.
It's
normal. It's normal. It's my life. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, I think it's normal. I see a lot more big families today, and that's good. It's a lot of work, very expensive. But I guess it's just what do you want out of life? Mm-hmm. I've got a bunch of kids myself, so I never wanted one of them. Every time I had one, I was like, "Oh, we're done. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't give any of them back. And the older I get, the more I realize, like, they are you. Mm-hmm. Like, they are what's carrying your name. They're what's going to carry your family. They're what you take the greatest pride in, the greatest hope in. So you always want your kid's life better than yours, and it's amazing how invested you can get into your children. So being the oldest of 9, I had to do a lot of things. I had to learn how to cook. Mm-hmm. I had to learn how to clean dishes, mop floors, fold laundry. So just to help mom. So I have a domestic side that I have no problem showing when I need to. But let me tell you, when it's not necessary, I'm dumb. I don't know how to do anything. Ask my wife. She's like, "Justin, you mind helping with dishes?" I mean, where's Kenzie at? Yeah. I mean, what's Cash doing right now? I do not do laundry. Mm-hmm. I do not fold laundry. I don't make my bed. I don't pick up after myself except for when it just really bothers my conscience of how much of a pig I'm being. So I think I kind of overdid it.
Yeah.
And then raised my first batch of young ones. I think now I'm just like, look, we all have our station in life. That door closed.
So that domestic side, that was almost like a first job, but let's actually get to your first job, your first place of employment.
Okay.
What were you doing, and what did you learn from that?
So I'm gonna back you up a little bit more.
Sure.
So I really always wanted to be in the mechanical trades. My first job type training was in welding, pipe fitting, metal fabrication. So very mechanical. And then I pursued that, took it through high school. I won some awards in high school for it, and thought that's the direction I was going to go. And I just couldn't find a job immediately in that. So my first actual job was, other than high school jobs, I worked for some small places like a lawnmower shop and cutting grass and doing some side help with my dad. I was raised in the trades, helping my dad every day. So, but as far as being employed by another company outside of my family, it was for a company called Wicks Lumber in Pensacola, Florida. And my job was building trusses out on, they have big tables, and you have jigs, and you're cutting 2x4s and placing them in a jig and nailing them and flipping them and toting them all day long.
If somebody doesn't know what a truss is, can you explain that?
Yeah, truss is basically, you see a triangle on your roof, kind of like there. I'll draw one. You see a triangle of your house right here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to draw it and hold it up for the camera. So, you have your house right here. That triangle piece up there. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can cut that by hand, or you can just order them already built to fit your home. Mm-hmm. And we set those up there with a crane. That's what makes the peak of your roof. So basically building roof systems.
Gotcha.
And then that was fine, and but I still wanted to get back into my trade, so I went to work for a company called Air Design, and they did plumbing, pipe fitting, mechanical work of all sorts, air conditioning, and I worked there until we came to Greenville.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you said you were helping your dad out a lot with the trades. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you would recommend for parents to do? Like, how do you recommend being a child of that system, or however you want to call it? What do you recommend? My
honest opinion with working children in the trades and the family business is there's two ways. It's good. Mm-hmm. It teaches them that they have a job and a responsibility in a home. Like, there's no free ride. Mm-hmm. While I agree with that a lot, I would have liked to balance it maybe a little bit more, been a little more balanced, maybe do some other things with my dad from here, here and there, a little bit more fishing or hunting with him, looking back. But he gave me a strong foundation of hard work, and gave me a lot of actual skills, so that when I was very young, I went out on my own. I started my first company at 21 years old. That was actually, successful, mm-hmm. and actually, made millions building houses.
Right.
In my youth, in my younger days. So I couldn't have done that without that history.
So what are some things you would say are mandatory? Like, you should teach your kid how to X, Y, Z. Are there things that are on that list for you?
Read
like,
a tape measure. If you read a tape measure, that is a skill. And read a clock.
Yeah, like analog.
An analog clock. That would be nice. Some basic things make change. These are old skills that may become obsolete, mm-hmm. but it sure is nice when the other way to do things. Sure. In a world of programs and things like that, sometimes it kills our creativity because we're forced to think inside the programs or what the digital scenario gives you. Mm-hmm. Being able to just pull out a tape measure and measure what you need and scale it and design something, whether you're a builder or whether you're doing something in the field mechanically, that's just a tremendous tool. And they all learn fractions today with this Common Core method, and they all walk out and they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. They had us learn, I remember in 4th grade, it was lattice multiplication. And you had to do it that way. Like, I couldn't explain it exactly how to do it now. I just know you had to set up some numbers on one side of a square and then others on the other. You would never use it past that point unless, it was just like your thing. And like, this makes sense in my mind, and maybe that's why they covered things like that. But as far as those type of skills go, do you see it as less and less prevalent in today's world? Like, do you see how that impacts things?
Well, let me tell you this. If I hire a young guy and he already knows how to read a tape measure, he's light years ahead of the one that doesn't. If he can read and he can write and spell, he's light years ahead. Josh, I'm not kidding. how many kids are being graduated with good grades out of the public school system that can't spell something if I ask them to write it on this tablet right here? Mm-hmm. They can't do it. And if they can spell it, you can't read it. Like I'm not even exaggerating this concept right now. It's just the way it is. So as a parent, that becomes our responsibility. I do buy workbooks and things like that for the kids and just have them practice cursive handwriting or touching the line. You know, the old concepts. Memorize your multiplication table. Mm-hmm. Hey, I have a kid that's in college that to this day doesn't know her multiplication tables correctly. Mm-hmm. Like, she's very smart. She's the smartest of all my kids, but they never taught her to memorize her tables, and she does probably something like what you're talking about to figure that out. I asked her the other day, I said, if you just had taken the time to memorize those, how much easier would all this be? She said, Dad, night and day different. Yeah. Okay? They're experimenting with our kids. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to allow them to experiment with them, that means that we have a responsibility at home to make sure they still know it. Yeah. And that's actually an interesting concept. I've talked to you about him before, Jocko Willink. So, I listen to his podcast, and it's fantastic. If anybody wants just another great podcast like ours to listen to, Jocko podcast, phenomenal. Yeah. That was an issue that he had with one of his kids. Is she comes home in, I think it's third grade, kind of when you start that, and she's like, "Dad, I'm stupid." He's like, "Whoa, roll that tape way back," because that saying that about yourself and as a kid, like, you're locked in to that mindset if that's how you feel. Right. He's like, "Why?" Because I don't know my times tables, and of course that he feels the responsibility. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to take ownership of that. That's my problem as a parent because I didn't teach her how to study. I didn't explain, hey, you need to learn how to put your nose in a book, get your flashcards made. This is how you make a process to get a new skill." And of course they knock it down and nail that process. And it's like, okay, I'm great now. But people will my dad doing
that,
stuff like that. He would, I went to school in Mobile for most of those real critical years, elementary through first year high school, summer. And I remember him doing the multiplication tables, and he would pull one out of the deck, and you had time to look at it. He'd raise it, and he'd drop it, and you had to call the answer before it hit the ground.
I like that.
And I nailed them eventually. It was just a game. It made it fun for the kid. Right. So the big problem is, and I'm guilty of this, and sometimes we get so concerned with socializing them or giving them, their abilities physically in athletics, or maybe even in music, or in just, it could be in church. It can be anything, can be overdone. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes that what we need to focus on is more balance, making them more circumspect, more circular, where they are athletic, they are smart academically. They know how to read well. They can write well. They have a healthy taste for music. They have a healthy knowledge of God and their belief system. Prayer life begins to develop. So I think there's a lot of things that we need to do better in as parents collectively. I look back, and in my time now, like I have this strong belief system inside, but I don't know that I'm infusing that in my children correctly, because I had my mom and dad pound that into me, and I don't the same way. Mm-hmm. Whether it's, laziness or other desires that I want to do at the time, whatever the case is. I mean, we have to address those as parents, and we have to, like he said, Jocko said, I got to take ownership in this. Mm-hmm. I think that's a message that we all need to listen to. Right. Because if we don't raise them, somebody is. Right.
And a lot of that concept we'll preview it a little bit here, because we're going to get into a lot more on these specifics in upcoming episodes, but it hits on what we call here is the wheel of life. Mm-hmm. It's something you put down in the conference room. We can bring it up here and show it off when we have those episodes going into that specifically. But do you want to hit on that concept? Kind of give people a preview, like what's coming with the wheel of life.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it briefly for sure. Basically it's just that circular concept, that no matter how mature you are, you want to be balanced. So if you're at a young stage in life and you're pursuing your education. You want to equally pursue your spiritual life. You equally pursue your physical life. Equally pursue your family life. Whatever that looks like, it could be small. And there's several categories we have, and it goes out from 1 to 10. And as you get a little older, a little bit more exercise, a little more developed, and maybe you're a 4, and then a 5, then a 6. And what that does is it never lets you be bored with where you're at. I don't think you should live your life driven at every level, because usually you're going to pursue something too hard and leave something undone. When things become out of balance, I feel like in my life, I know that's when everything goes wrong. Mm-hmm. It's like having a tire that's super pumped up on the top but flat on the bottom. Like if that was a thing. Like if you had some dividers in a tire and you could pump up the top part of the tire and not pump up the bottom part of the tire, how good do you think you're going to roll through?
Not well.
And it's the same concept for us. Like if we're really financially strong, but we have no family life,
right,
and we have no spiritual life, no physical life, then I'm this mean, empty, hollow, fat guy,
But my bank account's great.
But my bank account is huge.
Like,
I mean, that's it. Nobody wants that, right?
Yeah.
Or if I'm super, super fit and I have a great bank account, but I'm hollow and empty in my relationships with other people in my family. Like, man, you look good, but there's something missing. You're just kind of bumping along.
Right.
That's our in short, our preview of the Wheel of Life.
So it's hitting on a little bit of concepts as what you want to implement in the business. So let's break that down, or let's back up a little bit. Why did you want to be a business owner? Like, and how did you do that? What was it that led you to that point? Being in the Gulf Coast, with a family that was in construction, man, down there was like one industry, not really, but the main one was, construction, remodeling, or being a ship carpenter. As my dad was a ship carpenter, everybody worked for the shipyard down there. And there was other things down there too, but that's just like, if you're blue collar, it's kind of where you landed to make enough money to feed your family. And I would watch him, labor there and then have to do side work, and then eventually start his own companies, doing home services and building stuff. And so a little bit of that entrepreneurial spirit was put in me from him. Mm-hmm. And my mom was the same way. Like, she always taught, you can do whatever you want to do. You can be whatever you want to be. She taught the children to dream. As adults, whether we think that that's healthy or accurate, or needs to be monitored with reality, that's fine. But what it does do is it does open the brain of a child, mm-hmm. And they start exploring all kinds of opportunities. And I think, I had friends that had more, so you'd want the new pair of shoes, or you'd want different things, and the only way you get it was do some extra work, some side work, so I'd take what I saw my dad do, and I'd take the dreams my mom gave me, and I'd say, well, what can I do right now? As a teenage boy, you cut grass, you wash cars, lemonade stands,
you do the classic lemonade stands, and most of those were just epic failures, man. Just truthfully, I'm trying to sell, lemonade down in Mobile, Alabama. It's just, what you gonna do with that? It's just not much there. But everything, I always liked the concept of business, and then my reading choices, even as a young man, lent towards being an entrepreneur.
Gotcha. So hold that thought on the reading, because I want to hit more on that later, for sure. Let's go into that entrepreneurial spirit. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's something that people are born with, that is innate in them? Like, either you got it or you don't. If you do, you can pursue this path. If you don't, sorry, just not going to work out for you.
Man, I bet there is volumes of reading or podcasts about this subject. Mm-hmm. What I am going to say about it is, I've met a lot of successful business owners since I've been in business, and they come in all shapes and sizes. I've seen the flashy guys that are for sure natural born leaders, in women. And I've seen ones that are very diminutive and humble and highly successful, that are probably wouldn't be considered a leader. The older I get, the more I realize that the more you actually know, and are willing to pass on is that separator. So when someone knows something and they're maybe flashy, strong leader, will I follow them? Sure. If they know what they're talking about. You know, I tell them I'm a thief. I'll steal a good idea in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, will I steal anything else? No.
Right.
But I will steal a great idea in a minute. By the same token, the quiet one that I said, that guy is unassuming. He's steady. He's successful. I need to know more. If he wants to give me 5 minutes and a couple quiet sentences, I'll take it. You know, some of the best advice came from me, from old guy. It was at a bar many years ago when I was young, and I asked him. I said he had he was successful, and I asked him. I said, what's the secret to your success? Like, what makes you? What do you say is the number one thing that made you successful? And he said, I wake up and I do one thing for my business every day, just one thing. And we kind of have that philosophy here.
Definitely. Like just touch it.
Just
whatever
touch
it is.
Even with this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, we're not podcasters. Like, we don't know what we're doing. But I said, let's just lay our hands on it and start talking about it, you know? Because it's going to help our business. It's going to help us even formulate thought up here. It's going to help us, you know, relate to our customers. We're going to bring them up here. You know, we're going to bring in other business owners. We're going to learn so much from this podcast. Well outside of if it has 1 view, 40 views, 100 views, 10,000 views, it's really irrelevant, right? But we're doing something for our business, you know, something that Google's not doing for our business. And business owners, I know you relate to me. You want to come up with any way possible to enrich your life in your business, have fun with your business, connect with your customers, connect with other business owners, connect with your community and families outside of the internet exclusively.
Right.
So do one thing for your business, he told me. Okay. So then there's other business owners that I've sat down and spent a lot of time with that were extremely successful, you know, and I mean, you may see their face and name all over the place, but they know what they're talking about. And I spent a tremendous amount of time with them. So I think just being humble, having a really good meter for truth, what's truth and what's smoke. You know, there's a lot of that out there. You know, my advice to anybody is if it's too good to be true, it is. You know, if it's a get rich quick scheme and look, man, you just got to do this and you're gonna make millions and you're young, leave it alone. Just learn to get into the grind, learn from the grind, develop yourself, and do one thing for yourself every day. If you're not in business for yourself, do one thing to make yourself better. Read one new book, you know, do a new exercise, meet somebody new in your life, write something down about yourself, save a little bit of money, you know, draw a new piece of art, write a piece of music. You know, I don't care what it is. You need to continue your education until the day it is that God takes that ability from you.
Right.
You know, and that keeps you from just being a has-been.
Right.
There's a phrase from one of the books I used to read, the ship doesn't sail with yesterday's wind. You know, so you can have the fastest Corsair pirate ship going down through there, you know, just the old ships that had the sails that really fast for their time. Sleek looking, just kind of cutting, you know where I'm going with that.
I know.
Okay.
I know. We're on the same page.
Okay. All right. So, you know, you can take that sail and you can put them in the doldrums, which is a place geographically where the wind can die for months and nothing moves. How valuable is that ship?
Right.
It can't move anything.
Right.
So always chasing something new every day.
It's like the old Einstein adage, or he may have said it, he may have not. Traditionally, it's assigned to him, but like an IQ test in certain scenarios is like telling a fish to climb a tree and calling it useless. You know what I'm saying?
Break that one down a little bit. So say that again.
Like the way you're gauging an individual, it can't be uniform across the board.
I agree.
Like the fish can't climb the tree.
Right, exactly.
But
so there's
the bird
areas.
Swim as the fish? You know, that comparison point.
So basically we're saying, you know, like everybody's gifts and their talents can be gauged independently. Like you can't say that's a bad business owner because he's not all over the internet and all over billboards. You can't say that's not a good business owner, They got you. Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
So let's say I am somebody who has this great idea in my head, because this is the scenario I feel like most people are going to fit into. Everybody's got that one idea. They're like, if this happened, this is it. I'm changing the world with this one. Everybody has the great idea, but how do you actually start a business with that idea? Like, what are those first steps, or what's the process
We're gonna
really
have to
like?
throw some like those old sayings out there where they say success. I think it was one I read somewhere that was success is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So again, I say it a lot. Put your hand to the plow. That's biblical. You know, you're not going to reap if you don't sow. I want to start a business. I can't tell you how many people I hear say, I want to start a business. A couple weeks later, I talk to them. I can't wait to start my business. 2 months go by. When I start my business, a year goes by. I think I'm going to start a different business. Okay. Inspiration comes and goes. Those windows in the mind just open and close rapidly for some people. You know, I'm one of those. Like, I would love to be in 100 different businesses. You know what I mean? But, you know, you're limited. So I always say, if you have a great idea, go to work on it, and you'll see how great it is. If you go and you start plowing the ground, you start talking to other people about it, they're going to let you know if it's a dumb idea or not. And then you're also going to find out how much you believe in that product or how much you believe in yourself. Because if you go out there and you hit it for a week or two, and all of a sudden you don't believe in your business idea anymore, you don't believe that you can pull it off, it probably is either the wrong timing or the wrong product. You know, there's no such, you know. Have you seen there's a bus I saw coming off the exit the other day. It was a tea charter, where you can charter a bus and drink tea on a double-decker bus. Now,
in this area?
Man, well, it was getting off an exit off 86. What was that place called? You can look them up. They're double-decker buses that,
like the London style
double-decker, but it was pink with flowers, and you basically took your date up there and you rode around and had tea and stuff and had a tour. Well, I looked them up, and it was actually based in New York City. So they must be just traveling through for whatever reason, that bus. But they basically do New York City, Grand Central Park tours, and you have tea and stuff like that. Well, when I saw that, the first thing I thought is, what a horrible business idea for me. Then I looked them up, and
they're killing it.
And they're a thing, and they might kill it. It's like $145 to get up there and have some tea and biscuits. You know, and get. But anyway, my point is, that was somebody's brainchild.
Yeah.
They believed in it enough to get it off the ground. They're doing it. Okay. I would have been one of those people that told them, said, bad idea. And you know what? In Williamston, South Carolina, probably a bad idea.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what would be a good idea for Williamston, South Carolina?
Ace Plumbing Electric Heating.
No, like seriously, biscuits and gravy.
The biscuits and gravy bus. Biscuit bus.
The gravy train.
Gravy. You're ahead of me. Biscuit bus and gravy train. They're sister companies.
Bus, which we do have to think about. We're going to be in a parade in Williamston, so we got to think what our float's going to look like. Should we do a pirate ship or should we do a gravy train? And how would that look?
I don't think we're the gravy train.
Not the gravy train.
No, I don't think that fits us enough.
The gravy train.
I think just the bold white and blue truck.
Just the bold white and blue truck. No, we're gonna pull a float, and I think I'm gonna screw a bunch of toilets down on it and throw candy out of them. They're gonna be clean toilets.
Clean toilets.
Clean toilets.
Fresh from
Fill
the
the tank
store.
up with candy and moon pies. So Mobile was Mardi Gras. Every year they had Mardi Gras. You throw out beads and moon pies. I think I should go old school and just throw moon pies.
Throw moon pies?
It would feel nostalgic.
Moon pie and RC?
RC colas. You bring your RC colas. We're not going to throw those because they're going to open them and spray everybody.
Yeah.
But we can throw moon pies.
That's a combo.
Do you like
People
moon pies?
I love moon pies.
What's chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Or banana?
No.
Chocolate?
Miss me with that banana.
I like
I want the
banana ones.
chocolate. Throw a double decker in there too.
So fun fact, Mobile, Alabama, you know how New York City drops the ball January 1st every year? Mm-hmm. They have a giant moon pie drop in Mobile.
Is that where they're made at? Is that where they're from?
I don't know. I know they're famous there for Mardi Gras. That's what they throw out every Mardi Gras is moon pies. They have a giant moon pie drop.
We'll look that up.
All right, well,
somebody let us know. Our moon pies from
ask,
Mobile.
Mr. Schloshley that sits back there.
He's not here today.
He's not here today. Okay,
he's out of town.
Okay. Hey, Rush Limbaugh had a guy named Mr. Snurgley. I don't know if he was real or not. Maybe somebody can answer that question.
Answer that for us too.
Yeah.
Tell us about moon pies and.
Yeah, maybe one of our viewers can answer that for me.
Rush
From
Limbaugh.
Mobile. I'd love to connect with someone from Mobile anyway. And then we'll ask Mr. Schloshley. He'll find that for us.
He'll link us up.
There you go.
So let's say, all right.
Go
I'm
ahead.
I'm going to step 1.
Yes.
To start my business.
Okay.
Let's go back to step 0 because this is where being a already established business owner, this is where your insight can come in.
So you want like a literal step by step kind of, or
I do.
Okay.
And I also want your perspective on what ducks do I have to have in a row before I even start walking down this path? Like, are there any precautions you're like, make sure you have this in order before you even start moving?
I'd be such a hypocrite to tell you to do that. Like, I started businesses with negatives in my account because out of necessity, and I think a lot of people do. It's to be real. Like, I think they start them on credit cards. They have second mortgage on their home. You know, and as they should, if they believe in their business, like this is their shot. Like, I'm going to create a difference for my family. I'm going to change the trajectory of my life, and it's going to take some risk. So risk is not, you can't just mitigate risk. Anything you do in life has some risk involved and associated with it. But certainly in an ideal world, you'd like to at least have a line of credit or at least enough money saved up, you know, to have yourself, you know, some cushion to pay your bills. Because what you never want to get into, and I've been here many times, and it's the worst feeling, and it's super, super hard to offset, is where you have, you know, that adrenaline going because I don't have enough money to pay the wolf at the door. And at the same time, I have to sit down with all this feeling of foreboding and be creative. And I know business owners, I'm sure, are going to just jump on this, and they can say, "Hi, I know what you're talking about, man." Like, I don't believe there's very many successful business owners that don't know. I don't believe there's any, unless they just really had a deep pockets or a family member that could help them through these times. Self-made business people all know this discussion. Just absolutely the smile on your face, not knowing where all the paychecks are going to come from that week, insurances are due. Got to continue to market and spend, but it's just drying up, you know? And then to try to have to be creative in that scenario is just gut wrenching, you know? And if you're a business owner in that position right now and you want to reach out to me, talk to me, I can help you a lot with that scenario. And I'll be more than open to just even talk with you on how to simplify things and how to make the hard calls, because that's what it comes down to. If you're going to be a business owner, you are going to have to make tough calls sometimes. That may be, you know, letting go of an employee that you know has outlived their usefulness to you. It could be a family member. Many small family businesses have to have hard discussions with family members. That's the worst. I think you had a question for me. You're going to ask me about that, like the hardest thing or something. You're saying we can get there.
Yeah, we can get there.
That's fine.
We'll definitely get there.
Yeah, but so yeah, there's definitely some gut wrenching moments in it, but it's also very exciting, you know. And there's the highs and the lows, you know. So there's times where you win, and you have to win enough. You have to win in business. So you've got to get the sales. You've got to have the big ticket close for you. You've got to have that star employee come through that just makes your life easier. You've got to have the ability to give a little bit more to your children and a little bit more to loved ones. And you should have a little bit more free time here and there. So you got to see those things start to happen, or it's not worth it. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't want to hollow your soul out over business. It's so easy to happen. The businesses can run you. I was warned about that from one of my mentors. I don't know how much he wants me to say his name, so I'm just gonna say one of my mentors. But he always asks me when we sit down. He's like, "How's your family?" And he knows to some degree, you know, my personal story and the hardships that I've been through a lot, largely due to probably not having that balance in my life. And he always, the first thing he asked me is how's the kids? How's the wife? How's your home? And he'll want to sit there and talk about that before we ever get into business.
Mm-hmm.
And I know why. Okay, because that's really, at the end of the day, we're not going to lay down on our deathbed worried about our business. That should be the last thing on your mind when you're dying. That it should be about your relationships with your kids, with your spouse. You know, are you whole? You know, spiritually, in relationships, those are the things that really matter. So if your business is hollowing those out consistently, now there's gonna be times where, hey, you're the provider for your home, and you know you have to make this happen, and there's gonna be sacrifices that are made. Understand all that. But if it's sacrifice, and no wins, what are we doing?
Right.
You know, find a different business or drop back and punt. It's okay. You know, most successful business people have been unsuccessful many times before they're successful, and I have been, you know.
So the business before Ace was Cornforth Construction.
Yeah.
And then you moved over to starting Ace.
Right.
What are some of the things that you learned, hey, this is the right way to do things, and, oh, this is the wrong way to do things? Like, what did you learn to transfer over or to leave behind when switching from those businesses?
With Ace, I simplified a lot, truthfully. With the construction company, I ran the construction company from the time when there was no real internet to speak of, like back when there was like Ask Jeeves. Do you remember that?
I do know about
Dial
Ask Jeeves. I didn't use it. I never asked Jeeves, but I know about it.
So the amount of information and ideas that are out there now is just night and day. And to me, in the construction business, with the model that I was running, it was I didn't have enough control. So I was a custom home builder, and you know, we kind of lay out these designs, and you know, then they would change, and then they would, you know, the projects would grow and grow and grow, and sometimes the finances didn't grow with it on the customer side. So it became a situation where I was married to every customer that I had for too long, you know, and I didn't want to be that guy to step on their dreams or to put some of the controls in place that I needed to put in control to be successful anymore in the building business. I had a lot of years of success and a lot of great projects that we've built tons and tons of houses in the Upstate. We had 7 framing crews going for us at one time. So it was a very good business along the way. But there was a time, there was political changes that were happening. There was where we had a lot of illegals that were working, and we were having to compete against pricing that wasn't fair, you know, to the legal people here. And that's still going on. And I think some of that's trying to be addressed, but it literally was devastating to the profit margins and the ability to run a legitimate, honest business. It became, and I know there's probably some builders or some guys in the business that are going to reach out to me after this and know some of the, you know, those stories and things that happened, but it became to where you almost had to be crooked, or you had to hide things to compete with another sector that could do it and there was no consequence. Mm-hmm. So I had to go away from that. And with Ace, it gave me an opportunity to restructure the business, have a different style of business that I could carry correct workers' comp, correct general liability with no games and no risk of going out of business if there was an accident. I could guide people through their dreams one piece at a time so they could see the cost of it, they could afford it. And that's one thing we really, really love doing here is giving people their dream, because that does go back to my building and design days. So, you know, someone says, you know, I want a water fountain with fire in the middle of it. We can build that, you know, and give it to them in their yard. You know, they say, you know, I want my wall to look pink at 7 o'clock, and I want it to be blue at 9 o'clock, and I want a fireplace here, and I want, you know, whatever they want. Like, I can do it. I can build anything. You know, and the guys I have around me in this company, there's really not, and we can put it on, you know, we can do controls, we can do all kinds of different things here that people don't even realize. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I took from my construction company is the understanding of how a house works. There's nothing in a house, zero. And I'll say this to anybody, you have a project you think can't be done, call me. You're just going to have the checkbook for it, okay? But there's anything you want done, we can do it here at Ace. From a full build, down to a touch faucet. I don't care. We have the guys that can build anything. So I was able to take that away from the construction company. I know it's behind the walls. I know it's in the dirt. I know it's in the foundations. I know how your wiring's supposed to be, your gas, your plumbing. Anything else we're missing? Even paint colors, shades, stains, concrete staining, you name it, we've been into it, So that gives me a lot of ability to help and guide a customer. So I took that into Ace.
Right.
So now they call me and say, hey, Justin, I was kind of wanting to put, a water feature out here. What's involved with that? I can guide them step by step. Now, whether I actually take on the construction work or not, generally I'll just give you a good contractor. And help you, which we're going to be bringing some of those guys on. I have one, I don't think he has a problem. Daniel Fowler Outdoor, living right here in Williamston. I want to bring him on. He does some really cool stuff with patios and fire pits. We actually do a lot of the gas work for him. Great guy. You have an outdoor space you want done, you should look up his work. It's called Fowler Outdoor. So awesome. I like to connect with other builders now. I don't necessarily want to do all the building, but I want to do the mechanical work for them, or I want to give the ideas and be an answer. Did I answer the question, or did I go way off a tangent?
No, that was good.
Okay.
That was good.
Okay. All right. I know sometimes I just get talking.
No, that's what we're here for.
Okay.
So looking at Ace now.
Yeah.
Where'd you get the name? Like where did that come from? The logo,
the trick question,
everything.
The dreaded question. I want to know how many people can't stand when a marketer comes to them and says, "So tell me what makes your company different from your competition. What makes you so different and so great?" I don't know. I just wake up and put my boots on and go to work and try to feed my family. It is that simple, you know. And we try to do one thing for our business every day to make it a little more successful. Putting those employees first, trying to get them the training. I have to talk about our training station real quick.
Sure.
So we're building a training station out there. It's going to be a full mock-up of a home. And for you to be a technician, if you are a young technician and you're looking to get in the trades and you want to make a lot of money, this is a place you can come, okay? But you're going to have to be good. We're going to use it as a testing area when you apply for a job here and you're a plumber or you're a mechanical guy. You're going to have to go out to that testing area and you're going to have to wire it. You're going to have to run the gas. You're going to have to run the plumbing, and it's got to be to code, and it's got to be efficient. And then we're going to base our pay scale off that. But we're also going to use it to get our internal guys more training, tankless water heating, furnaces, some of the high SEER stuff we're going to be testing out there. Some of the new refrigerants and stuff like that we're going to be teaching on. Safety things with that, more flammable for refrigerant, things like that. So anyway, there's a lot we're doing out there. We're going to be teaching leak detection. We're going to be teaching how to grade, pipe on grade for new construction guys. So how to put septic tanks in, how to put leach fields in on the lot next door. So tremendous amount of training we're going to be putting into our own guys and offering those to other people in the future. Take me back. Where were we at, man? I jumped
asking about the name, where you got the name Ace
from.
From.
What did that have to do with anything? Anyway, okay. Ace. Boring. That's what it was. So when I was in the building business and when it was time for me to get out, I had given literally every bit of my soul, every bit of my money. I had sacrificed my family. Everything was in. I was done. And I was in business for 24 years, 22 to 24 years in that business. So a lot of good runs along the way. But when it was done, it was done. My name was Cornforth Construction. You can look it up. We were a good building company. The problem was my name was attached to it at every level. And so when I was done, I could not get away. I could not just have me and my family in a place to regroup. So I was sitting there and I was doing the mechanical and the plumbing, and I was loving just going out in a truck by myself and working with my hands. I remember putting ear pods in and listening to flute music. It was just so peaceful to be in a crawl space, working with my hands and my tools with my customer, and just zen, man, after dealing with what I dealt with. At one point I think I had directly or indirectly over 100 employees, and it was just me now. And I would collect my, $200 check from that customer, thank them, talk to them for a few minutes, do another one. Maybe I'd sell a bigger one, a water heater, and I'd do that one for a couple grand and, talk to them and get my check. And next thing I know, I'm looking around, I'm like, this is the way it should be done. A skilled guy going out to his neighbors and giving them a fair price. And it just felt right. It was just all the games were gone. You pay me X amount of dollars to give you a great service, and I'm going to be done in a day or, that day, or sometimes it would go into a second day. So I said, I want a company that is just boring. I want a boring name, that kind of did say that, you were good at it. So an ACE, you have an ACE pilot. I think we talked about this, what the word ACE means generally means like number one, but it wasn't like my name and all kinds of, great intricate logos or designs or anything like that. But I wanted it to be simple, and I wanted it to be just strong. So I wanted just a simple logo, blue and white, which to me, I always just like those clean colors, and we talked, I think, about what they stood for in the last episode, that just that bold white and blue truck. And at the time, all my marketers along the way in the past 7 years have been like we need to rebrand you, or we need to give you a little more pizzazz, or like what makes you so great, and all these different things. And I think truthfully, the I wouldn't call it great, but the things people like about our company is its simplicity. It literally is what we say is what we do. On our trucks it says ACE, plumbing, electrical, HVAC. Do you know what we do? Right. And that's it. You call for a plumbing job, we do your plumbing job. Electrical, you want more, we'll give you more. And so I think for a long time I battled with how simple and how much of a non-story I had. And I'm sure a lot of business owners are listening to this thing, and man, Justin, I know that feeling. Like I was a really good landscaper, I was a really good carpenter, I was a really good roofer, I was a really good, stonemason, brick mason, or I was a really good, dog groomer. They're worth their weight in gold. Or I was a good horseshoer. I know some of those guys, horse trainer, and they just did it as an evolvement of how to make money in their life, and they never overly thought through. I'm going to be asked one day, like, how did you become good at this? Or as you said, great, which I feel greatness is way away from me. But, that's the questions that they start to have to answer to marketers or to Google or to radio advertising, things that you see that we do now.
Right. Because marketers have an idea of almost like, if you pick this certain name, every time anybody in your community says this name, a firework is going to shoot up and pop in the sky. It's like, it doesn't work.
It
like
doesn't.
That. You can have a great sounding name.
Since I've started ACE, there's been two other that I know, possibly three. Well, two other ACEs that have started up that do similar trades to me. One in Easley, one in Greer. There is, of course, the ACE hardware store that you hear our radio commercials separating us with our bold white and blue trucks from the red and white trucks of ACE hardware. I got a call one day from a guy in Greer who was extremely upset that I stole his name. Well, I didn't steal anything. I had to file with the Secretary of State and receive permission to use this name. I didn't know him, and he never did. He never filed his name correctly or legally. And he'd called me very upset. He was going to sue me, and I said, man, I'm sorry. I didn't even know you. Like, there's no.
And the name's not even ACE.
It is ACE.
It is ACE?
Yeah.
I thought it was
It was Ace Plumbing in Greer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a different one where it was just the initials were the same.
Oh, there was that one too. So yeah, I understand where he's coming from, being frustrated, but it was like I didn't. You can't control how many aces there are. It's just a word. Do I wish I would have picked a different name? For sure. Like sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I'd have just picked something nobody else wanted to do. But that's not necessary. It's just not. Like everybody that holds the name Ace, they write their own script. They write their own story. Our story is gonna be rooted in the bold white and blue. That's our story. And you can expound on that. I know you kind of put a lot of work into defining our brand. If you want to, just don't jump in there.
We'll hold off.
Hold off on
okay.
that one. Okay.
It'll come out. It's all gonna happen. It's all
right,
happen.
that's fair enough. So,
well, let's focus more on
the
you
name
for this one.
Okay.
Let's keep it.
Oh man.
Keep it on you. Keep it on you.
Sure. So with
ahead.
that acronym ACE, the joke has become another Cornforth enterprise. Okay. Did it start out that way? No. It started out a commitment to excellence. And all those things are embodied in what we try to message every day and is embodied in the bold white and blue truck, that simple messaging. So if you're a business owner and you've been asked these dumb, crazy questions by Mark, they're not dumb. I mean, I guess they got to be answered. I think I can help you understand. Just be you. Mm-hmm. Just tell the truth. Just tell it. Hey, it's rooted in simplicity. Right. That is our brand. It's simple. We do plumbing, electrical, heating, and air work, family owned and operated. We have a commitment to excellence, and it is another Cornforth enterprise. I mean, that's just the truth, right?
Right.
So that's how ACE was born, and we continue to cultivate it and grow it and do one thing for ACE, and ACE is a different look than it was 8 years ago. ACE will be a different look 5 years from now than it is right now if we continue to do that. Mm-hmm. And there will be no question what ACE stands for in people's mind if you do it right. And that's it. So if you have, Smith drywall, you can separate yourself from every other Smith drywall there is, because we had a marketer. This is a funny story. We had a marketer try to tell us that Chick-fil-A's branding was great. Now, I, for one, never thought Chick-fil-A's branding was great. Eat more chicken with a cow. I always just like, okay. Or the red couch sitting in the white room. Like, watching football, I couldn't wait for that commercial to get off. Mm-hmm. So was it Chick-fil-A's brand or the name Chick-fil-A? So filet of chicken sandwich. What's so great about that? Nothing. Mm-hmm. What is Chick-fil-A's brand? You know that you're going to go get good food quickly with great customer service. Mm-hmm. That's their brand. Right. And I know one of the business owners of several of them here up in the Upstate, and maybe I can talk him into come up here and talk business with me one day. I believe he probably would. But tremendous resources put into great customer service, great efficiency, and reasonably good food. Mm-hmm. So when I see I'm hungry and there's a line around the building around maybe a Wendy's or a Chick-fil-A, and I'm pushed for time, I will shoot into that Chick-fil-A line every time because I know that I'm going to get great service, good food, quickly. And it's going to be a nice experience. Right. So they were able to brand themselves with a very average brand and just consistent marketing. But the market, their brand is invisible, but everybody knows it. Mm-hmm. They don't say on every commercial with their cow on the billboard on 123 and an arrow Chick-fil-A, they don't say we give great food, fast, great customer service, and all these things, do they?
No.
But it's understood.
Right. It doesn't say, don't worry about the line. You're still good. It's afterthought.
Which is why exactly on the opposite side of that board, we put ours, and we put just a truck, bold, white, and blue. You know what we do. And if you don't, then that's my problem. Mm-hmm. I've got to be more like Chick-fil-A or some of these great businesses that are 100% dedicated to great customer service, on time, and a good product.
Right. But even Chick-fil-A, if you ask Truett, ask him, he said, you're one of the most successful fast food companies in the world, like hands down. Everybody knows who you are. Food's great.
Right.
He'd also be able to tell you his fair share of failures too. It wasn't, hey, if you're successful, you rode a step up the whole way. No. There's up and down and up and down.
No.
So in your journey as a business owner through all those years, I'm sure you've had your fair share of successes and failures. Mm-hmm. Which one has taught you more?
Man, that's a good one. I mean, that is a good one. you learn differently from both for sure. You're going to learn the ones that are burned the deepest are the failures, what not to do, you know. And if you're stubborn like me, you might have to make them more than once. And unfortunately, a lot of business owners have that same trait. I know someone told me one time, and I like to read business books, but somewhere I picked up along the line that said very successful people make their mind up quick and change their mind slow. So that can be sometimes a bit of stubbornness involved with that is, you know, can be detrimental from time to time. But it is also the reason for their success because they just can't stop pushing, right? So the failures definitely burn the deepest, you know, the embarrassing conversations. You know, I've been close to bankruptcy more than once, you know, and actually had to file and was able to pay off all my creditors at one point in the construction company, which I take great joy in being able to say that I looked the devil in his eye in that moment and made a decision to make sure that everybody that I owed was paid in full, to the best of my ability, to the best of my knowledge. So then that was a decision that took me. I actually still, Ace helped finish those promises to people. This company did. So it actually paid off any debt associated with Cornforth construction. Okay. So I know what that feels like. And then you begin to rebuild and you're like, wow, I was able to do that and pay that amount of money back with this. What happens if I just don't make those mistakes again? So the failures, I think, teach you the diligence, the warning signs of things going wrong, the ability to make the hard call. You know, like I carried way too many employees. I carried way too many guys that were no longer writing for the brand anymore. It was more about them. You know, that complacency had set in and you weren't willing to make that call because you didn't want, you cared more about their circumstances and their family than you did about your own and your own business. And you'd be surprised at how many business owners that do that. They have this sense of obligation to their employees as they should, but it's inordinate. It's not correct. They're actually downplaying those people's own ability and responsibility in life. You know, so you don't want to enable your employees. You want them to be very, very competent, very, very individualistic, if you can. And then that way you can have honest discussions with them. You know, hey, look, you're not producing the way you used to for Ace. You need to move on, don't you? Yeah, I probably should. You'd be surprised about, yeah, shake your hand and head on down the road. And some of them say, no, I'm going to snap around. I got you. I hear you.
Right.
And it's not personal. It's just about the mission statement, right? Successes can give you arrogance. And that's one thing that one of my personal prayers very regularly is when we have success that I give the glory to God and that's it. I just do. And when I feel myself feeling like, look what I have built, I know there's a problem coming. It has been a relationship that I have with him since the day I started this. As long as I give him the glory and I stay humble about it, then we'll be fine.
Right.
We start thinking it's all about all these mystical things that we're doing or all these advertising we're doing and all this stuff, this podcast or whatever we think we're doing that's making such a big difference. He just validates it. And I believe that's what happens. Like you put your hand to work, then he validates it. He puts his stamp on it, like you're doing everything you can to stand. You're being diligent. So he blesses those attributes. And so success you learn a lot from because you learn what works, right? It's like it's like when you're fishing. You know, once you get on the river, I fish a lot, the Seneca River and stuff, and once you find maybe that brush pile or that bend in the river or that particular depth and water temperature and oxygen level that you know there's fish every year there. So all of a sudden, like you roll out your boat, 5 minutes, you're putting fish in the boat every year. All right, you're never going to forget that. Like I can go out there right now, put that boat in the water and go find fish. Now, let's say they go ahead and raise the water early, or there's a big storm and it muddies the water, or they build a new dam somewhere. and it alters those fish's pattern, how good of a fisherman am I then? Okay. If you only had success, you only know how to go back and find it the same way you always did.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have failure, you know how fish work. You know how the system, the ecosystem works. And it'll take you a little while, but you'll be able to unlock the puzzle,
right,
and find the fish again in a different spot. So you got to have both. You know, the lessons learned from success let you fill the boat real quick.
Mm-hmm.
The lessons learned from failure are the ones that, when it goes wrong, gives you the power to put the puzzle pieces back together.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it is, let's say you're NFL team, because college teams, they may play each other twice a year, but it's a lot less common than NFL teams will play each other twice a year. To me, the team that has the advantage in the second matchup is the team that lost the first time.
Oh, 100%.
You would think it'd be the other way. Like, oh, they got us last time, they're going to get us again.
No.
The loser has film on
how they
here's
lost.
what we did wrong.
Yep.
The other team just has, well, what we did worked. Do we run the same thing again?
The advantage definitely tips the other way because they sit on it.
Yeah.
When you lose a game, you know, I coach baseball. You'd be surprised at how invested mentally you can get into youth baseball. It's a sickness. It's a disease, my wife says. But, you know, as a coach, you're sitting there thinking, man, if I just wouldn't have sent that kid, or if I'd have pitched this kid a little longer, or this one a little less, or did I put enough work? You know, you always go back, and if you sit on a loss, you're like, literally, it was like one or two things that cost us that game. You go back to work. If you win all the time, I mean, you're like, let's just keep rolling out the same guys. Do it the same way we always do it, right? So, and you got to have those wins. You got to have that confidence and swag, we call it. You know, I can embarrass all my kids right now. You know, right now they
just spare them.
Yeah, spare them. What is some of the new terms you hear in youth sports right now?
I mean, I'm not in youth sports.
You're young,
but just like, in the
like
youth.
Fire.
I mean,
what is fire?
Fire. I mean,
what is 6'7"? What is that one? 6'7". What does that mean?
It's to be misunderstood on purpose. I think
so.
I don't know.
I got told I had drip the other day.
That's good.
Is that a good thing?
You want drip.
What is Riz?
That's when you can talk to them.
Oh, you got Riz.
That's when you can talk to them.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So these are all new words. We didn't have all that.
Yeah. Riz, drip, 6'7",
swag,
cap, fire.
Yeah.
Huzz.
That's
okay. The Huzz.
Okay.
There's all kind. I don't know. I'm tapering out of that age. I'm 27 now,
here,
so
but
I'm
anyway,
tapering
so you get
out.
it, man. There's a different terminology for everybody.
So back to you.
Oh man, just keeping it. You're just keeping it on me today, man.
I got that spotlight
We're gonna get this one
on
done, then I'm gonna bring somebody else up here and do it to them.
Right.
I want to hear about it. Somebody else.
When you're just operating the business normally, you know, day in, day out, what's the most difficult thing you have to do as a business owner?
Man, the most difficult thing is kind of what I touched on earlier when it is that you know, your decisions affect someone's life, you know, or when you have to say no, which we need to have an episode on that. Make that note. Tell Mr. Sloshley we need to do some investigating on this. But anyway, the power of no. You know, it is the most uncomfortable word in the English language for someone who is in the service business. Everything we teach our CSRs, when someone has a question, you say yes, you can fix it. Now that's a bold statement, but we live by that. They have a problem, we can fix. Do you do this? Yes. Because if I don't personally do it, I'm going to show up and I'm going to give them an answer efficiently and economically that's going to fix their problem. So we are programmed to say yes at every level. And then you have to say no and live by it. And you may have to say, no, you're not qualified anymore. Or, no, I'm not going to loan you money, but I'll teach you to fish. You know, and you want to, especially if you're able, you want to help people, or you should. If you don't, then you're probably missing your call and your joy in being a business owner. But you should want to help people, your employees, your customers. You know, everyone knows we have to make money. Everybody knows this is a business transaction, but there's still a spirit that needs to be there and loud and clear, right? So the hardest thing that I have to do is go to someone and bring something to them about, you're disappointing me. Like you're not cut out for this. man, it hurts their feelings, it hurts their pride. It bruises them a little bit, but it's the nicest thing. It's called the kindest cut. Do you want to keep lying to them and let them lie to themselves? Or do you want to, while they're young, tell them, say, hey, this is exactly why I'm letting you go. I do think sometimes too many business owners, especially in today's time where they're afraid of retribution or a lawsuit or, nitpicking every word you say on one of these podcasts and throwing mud at you, they're scared to tell the truth. We're a little slow. We have to lay you off. Is that why you let that key employee go? Because you're a little slow?
Right.
9 times out of 10, that is a bald-faced lie. You have to let them go because they can't produce income. That's why you're slow. They're the one that has to go. So in a nice way, in a way that builds them up as best you can, tell them the truth. You haven't done your studies. You haven't done your continued education. You've been talked to 3 times. You're not hitting your benchmark, and we have to make a business decision to find someone that can deliver, or I'm going to be out of business, and I have to feed my family as you have to feed yours. Here's your final check. Have a good day. If you need a reference and you make those adjustments, I'll give you a good one. It's that simple, So that's the hardest thing I have to do is when I have to make calls that affect people's lives, and I may know their wife, I may know their children, I may know the schools, the sports teams they're on, and to still have to, make a decision that I know that Friday night is going to be a bad weekend for that family. It's just,
right.
Nobody wants to do that.
Right.
That's the hardest thing.
What's the easiest?
The easiest ones. The easiest thing is that's I don't know. There's quite a few things that I do easy. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what makes your job easy is when you have the flip side of that, great employees, mm-hmm. And you show up and say, I'm sipping my coffee until 9:30 or 10 o'clock as I collect my thoughts in the direction of the business for today and know that the mundane and the grind is happening in spite of you for a change. That is a real reward. I love it when I wake up and I have something I got to deal with at home, and it doesn't matter if I'm there at 8 or I'm at 9. I know that the guys are in place and they're doing it better than I can. Mm-hmm. And when you get to that point as a business owner, which does take a lot of time, it does take systems, and we'll be happy to share that with other businesses, maybe how to get there quickly if you're not. And if you have ways that you're able to do it, we want to hear the same thing because mm-hmm. We're not having this podcast as having succeeded in all, but we figured a few things out. Right. So, yeah, I think the easiest thing is just when you have those people that you actually have what you've been trying to get, that balance.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can wake up in the morning, and the second you wake up, while you're brushing your teeth, you're working in your mind. You're thinking of ideas, and it happens too. Like you're thinking of ideas constantly, but you don't feel that press of like, I have to come up with something. I'm going to give you 6.
I'm going to give you a scenario. When I was running the construction company, and I had at one point 7 framing crews. Okay, when I got home, I had to make the checks. Do you have nails? Do you know where to go? Do you have who all's on this crew? Are there roof cutters there? Are there helpers here? Setting beam, like all the dynamics that went into running that many crews. I remember just so many times just making sure they had enough nails, or enough whatever it was, on the crew, and those details, and you're just bogging down and you're making a call. He didn't answer, so let me make the next call. As you're talking to this guy, he beeps in. And this level of frantic action that happens, I used to tell people all the time, from back then we used to start in the summer at 5:30 in the morning, from probably about 5:30 or 6 to 8:30, I would field 100 to 150 phone calls in that time slot every single day and answer all those questions. And then I could generally relax, but am I really? Or am I just zoning out until the next flurry for the next day? So truly being able to have this time to go in and do things like this has been a blessing. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of business owners understand that. Like Shane does a good job in the mornings, checking that schedule, making sure that the guys know if they need a jet or if they need a cable, cameras, whatever the case is for whatever their jobs are, he's already on. I know that I don't have to, even though I still can't break that habit, still want to look at that schedule, make sure everything, and I'll call Shane sometimes, say, Shane, hey, you looked at the schedule? Do you know about this? Do you know about this? I thought I had him this morning. I was like, hey, Luke's going out here to Clemson to clear a drain. Jetter's sitting in the parking lot. Do you know? He said, yes, I know. I'm sending a cable because it's a floor drain, and that cable drain, that flex drain clear is going to work better.
Right.
Sorry, man, I'll stay in my lane.
Like I've already talked to him.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I feel bad at that moment, but I also feel good. I'm like, look, see, I mean, like these guys are on it. Mm-hmm. Same with you. I mean, we talk about our marketing ideas, and then I come in and it's all bullet pointed for me. It makes my job very simple to do.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what's the most rewarding thing to you that you get to do?
While everything we do makes money, when I get an actual handwritten note or a phone call from a customer asked to speak with me, and they thank me for what we do, and they're legitimately just so thankful. That doesn't happen every day, but it does happen sometimes and you kind of know when those jobs are. It may be a family that's struggling a little bit, and you're able to find a solution, or finance something for them and get them approved, for that, and maybe even a little bit more money just to help with some other things. And you'll see that those things happen from time to time. And it just makes you feel so good. Like, I've been there. I remember being really broke one time, and my septic tank went out. And it was Holcomb Septic Service out of Liberty, South Carolina. I'd have no problem giving them a shout out. I've tried to call him many, many times since then, and I can never get a hold of him. I know he's still in business, so maybe he'll reach out to me now. We use A1 now. A1 does a great job. But I remember this one particular time, it was Holcomb. And he came out there, and I just didn't have the money for leach fields, and he came up with a solution. I don't even know if it was legal or not, truthfully. And the more I know now, I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but he gave me a solution that was forever, and it didn't break me. Mm-hmm. And my family of 7 at the time could wash clothes, and I literally, obviously, I never forgot it, because I keep, and now that I'm in the business, this was before I was in the business, I still try to find him. Mm-hmm. I've been by his place, and it stood out. So I love when someone is thankful for what we did outside of the monetary transaction. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves to cash a check. We all love to cash a check, but when they go above and beyond, they just say thank you.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So how do you keep going? So what I'm kind of asking is, a lot of people will have that I want to get here mentality. Like, I want to be a professional athlete. I want to be a
build backwards
college professor, whatever it is. Like, once they're there, they lose that drive. Gotcha. Yeah. They lose that vision at that point. 'Cause it's like, everything I had was just set on getting here. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm here, I'm lost. Well, how do you avoid
number
that pitfall?
one? I'm gonna say that we're not there. Like, we're not to that point where we say, "Hey, we've won the war." Like, I mean, this is a highly competitive space we're in, and we have our struggles every day still. So I don't know what that feels like in this business yet, to just say that I'm at the top of our game. I don't think that at all. I mean, and I hope that most business owners don't think that, like, because if you start thinking you're all that, you're probably not as good as you think you are. Mm-hmm. The more that I learn, the more I learn that I don't know. Yeah. And I'm not afraid to say that. And I still think we're one of the best companies in the area, as far as our abilities and what we can actually accomplish on a home. But I still feel like, you've heard me just literally just like telling us that we're not good at this. Like, we've got to get better at this, Yeah. And we're probably pretty good at, when I step back and I lose my frustration, I'm like, they actually are really, really talented, and they did a good job overall, but I want to see it better. So you got to keep that press to wanting to really be good. But if you are a person who has reached that point, and I guess I've been where I'm more comfortable than I've ever been at different times with this business. But I think at that point, it's not about money. Again, I know y'all keep hearing me say that, like, don't make money what makes you work hard. Mm-hmm. Don't make money about why you show up to that customer's house. They already know they have to pay for your service. You don't even have to overly talk about that. The price is the price. Make friends. Learn more about them, learn something legitimate from them, as a business owner, can you give back? Can you give some of that success to younger guys? Can you take great joy in their accomplishments? My mentor was a very successful serviceman, sold his business for many, many, many millions of dollars. And you know, I can tell he gets his enjoyment from watching you go through it. So you got to pay it forward. You know, you just got to give to those guys, you know, give them good information, help them with their marketing. And I do. I had to be careful the other day. One of my competitors was asking me some very strategic questions, and I guided him, but I had to literally woe up on not just giving him the playbook to beat me in my own market. Like, I can't do that, but I'm going to put you all around and make you figure it out. And if you can beat me, go beat me, you know? And I was okay with that with this particular guy. Some of my own children are my competitors now, so I'm going to help them, you know? And I think just that willingness to be transparent and part of the community and not just be, you know, closed off or a jerk about everything, you know, develop that side to where, look, you know, you can't take everything with you. You know, you can take a lot of satisfaction from other people's satisfaction and your reputation. You know, I've been in a reputation rebuild mode for many years now, and I love it. And I'm not ashamed. If anyone has questions about my personal life, I'll let you know. Like, I'm not dodging it. Yeah, I just love to see people win. I do. And I think as a business owner, if you feel like you're bored, maybe do a little soul searching as how much are you giving versus taking. Yeah.
So what goals do you still have now, whether it's personal, parental goals as a business? Like, what are your aspirations for, you know, the direction of our near future here at ACE, distant future? Like, what is your goal system now?
I mean, there's some goals that I certainly have personally that I don't know that I'm going to air on this particular podcast. But you know, if people say, "Hey, I heard you say that," what are they? Then I'll be glad to share those. But the as far as ACE goes, probably before you even were here, I had hanging on the wall basically the way to progress through the company indefinitely. Like, so if you got hired today, here's how you can actually make a career, which is kind of lost in small companies now. Like, you generally hire people and it's just like, they have a life expectancy, 3 to 5 years, and they're going to move on. And when they move on and you talk to them years later, they're within a couple dollars of what they were when they left you, and maybe a little more insurance or maybe a little less, or they just cycle back around and they say, yeah, I probably should never left, or, you know, and you know, because there is a monetary level that if you don't move and produce more, that you just can't get paid. So just longevity doesn't create value in a person. So we like to try to say, if you're a helper, you should be a technician by this point. If you're a technician, you should be a lead. If you're a lead, you should be a supervisor. If you're a supervisor, you should be an ops manager. If you're an ops manager, you can get to this, and so on and so on and so forth. And the only way we can do that is to grow. And you've heard me say in the meetings before, guys, I'm good. I don't need to grow the company anymore. We can keep this number of trucks, this number of guys, and I am going to be comfortable. I don't need more money. You know, everybody wants more money, and I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm comfortable. So I don't need anything more, really, as long as this stays intact. But you can't go anywhere else. That's the problem. So now my growth is for them. And that is legitimately why I feel the need to grow, is to give more to the people underneath me. ACE has no aim to grow to 50 trucks because they want 50 trucks. If I have great guys that want to grow, it will grow to 50 trucks because they're going to drive that growth for themselves and their families. And I'm okay with that. I'll house that. I'll sponsor that, or foster that, I guess you would say, right? So that's it. That's our growth pattern. You want to know, like, what are our long-term objectives? Quality lives for everybody who wants to buy into ACE. Well, what's your goal? Your 100 million, 50 million? I don't have a number. I'm good right now today, right here. If everybody's happy right here. If they want to go further, then we're going to go further. And we're going to work in Easley. We're going to work in Simpsonville. We're going to work in Greer. We're going to work in Charleston. We're going to work in Maryland. I don't really care. But it has to be because that's what they are driving and they want to do, because I'm good, content right now.
So you get to have many roles as a business owner, like as a mentor, a leader, a guide, all those types of things. And you're also a parent of 11 children. What does that teach you, being in those types of roles? Like, what have you learned from
that? You have to be willing to be tired every day.
That's a good answer.
Just get used to being tired. You know, I'm not the only one in this company either. I mean, I was talking to Shane. I was like, Shane, do you want me to cover a call? I still get in the truck and run calls. Shane, do you want me to go run a call for you today? Like, he was exhausted. I was like, man, you're tired. Like, let me just cover you. He's like, dude, I'm tired every day. He said, I'm going home and work anyway. I might as well just go to work here. So, you know, I feel like we have a lot of guys and girls with strong shoulders. Like, they just are willing to be tired to win. You know, they're willing to put in the work. And we try to have fun with it as much as possible. Work and play ultimately don't mix, but you can still enjoy and take great pride in what you do, what you put your hands to every day in a proper way. One of the things that I've learned is that, painfully so, is that you're an example whether you want to be or not. People know you. I don't have the luxury of making mistakes and it being hidden. I do something stupid, I get called out. And it might come from somebody I don't even know. It says something to somebody else. I saw Justin do this, or I saw Justin do that, and guess what? You know, so once you take that responsibility, that job of saying, I'm going to be a leader in my business or in my home, you know, you're held accountable. Your children watch your actions for good or for bad. Your employees watch it for good or for bad. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, we're going to have a truly transparent conversation right here. How inadequate I feel as a business owner to lead people. Like, and I used to think I was alone in this. Like, I almost feel like an imposter, like a fake. I'm not. I mean, doing what I'm just set out to do. But as that microscope gets put on you more and more, you get to feel like I'm not the guy. Like, I'm not the guy for this, you know. Please don't shine that light on me any deeper. Like, it's enough. But I've talked to other business owners too, and they, especially ones that wind up having some size to them or some weight in the community, and it's just unavoidable, you know. So one thing that I learned is that you're going to be held accountable, and you got to continue to grow too that way spiritually. So going back to your first question, like if you're at the top, you know, which I'm far from, but still maybe in a position where those feelings come to you, you've got to find yourself more. You've got to become more spiritual. You got to become more thoughtful. You got to become more giving. You know, you're going to be asked to counsel. You got to be comfortable with that. I hate getting on these things. I hate getting in front of, you know, TV commercials and radio and all that. You know, I don't really want, that's not really what I want to do. Okay. But I enjoy it, and I always feel good when I give. Right. You know, someone comes and says, hey, I learned something from that podcast, or reaches out to me privately. Maybe they don't even, you know, acknowledge the podcast, but they say, I heard it, and what do you mean by this? Yeah. Can you tell me more about it? You know, I'll have those discussions all day long.
So as far as giving for maybe there are new parents out there who have a baby on the way, like Matt, our electrician, you know, he's got one coming real soon.
You have another one coming?
I have another one coming. So we got two boys now.
Is that public knowledge, or did I just...
No, some people know.
Some people know. Okay.
Two boys already, and then one on the way. We don't know, boy or girl. We'll find out soon.
Gotcha.
But if there's somebody who it's their first kid and they're like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's going on. Or a seasoned veteran of a parent who's like, all right, number 7, here we go. Yeah. What advice would you give to either scenario, or both, if it's the same thing?
Man, my dad's the preacher, not me. So, but I know I'm fairly comfortable to answer that. I have to go back to, like I said, I'm a pirate. I'm a thief. I just steal people's good ideas and information and regurgitate them. Like I do have my own original thought. It's not that deep, but one guy I respect a lot said, if I had to raise my kids over again, I would do it more. What are you talking about, man? You do it more? What, like have more kids? No. He said, I'd love them more. I'd punish them more. I'd buy them more things. I'd spend more time. So what he's describing is a total and complete investment into that child's development. Why? And I don't mean the incorrect side. So I see things all the time, in youth sports that I want to see change. One of the things is I call it like kid worship, and it's easy to happen. It's where like you begin to live vicariously through a child, maybe in sports or athletics, and next thing you know, it's like, you don't think he's being coached good enough. He's not the best one on the team, and you're moving teams, and you're just glorifying and building this little idol. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about, because that's where sports is ugly
and dangerous for the
kid. It's not real. These are not going to be major league players, most of them, or even D1 athletes. If they are, great. But coming with that, you're great D1 athletes and you're great major league players. Generally, there's more to the individual than just that sport. They're deeper than that. We don't want to do that. When I say more discipline, more teaching, more of that will, more circumspect. Are you developing their spirit? Are you developing their brain? Are you developing their physical body? Yes, they have a couple of talents over here in a sport. Great. Develop that, but keeping it balanced, so I think and enjoy them. Like, it does go away. And another thing I would say is get hard photos. Don't just rely on your cell phone. My kids' generation grew up like this. How many times do you see this? Quit taking pictures of me.
Yeah.
We're snapping all these pictures of our kids and not creating any memories. Put the phone away. Have 100 pictures of your kid in his lifetime that are quality, great memories, and remember that story.
That's where the classic, film camera. That's why that was great, because you had a limit.
Yep.
Like you had to pick
a shot.
I got 100 in this roll, or I have to go get in my car and drive down to CVS and go get another roll. It's not that where it's like, kind of blurry. No, smile better.
And then you lose the phone and you lost the memory.
Yep.
So spending more engagement with them, and then if you have that quality photo, get it printed off, keep it, put it in a picture frame, create something that's real. Yeah. We just live in a kind of a paper mache society, a throwaway society, and my advice would be to just do more with them. Don't regret them. And if you're an older parent and you got into a second family, or you had one that came way later than the others, you got to dig deep. You got to give that child the same thing that you gave the other ones. Now, it'll look different because you're older, you're wiser, you're more tired. So there's going to be a different type of feel to that rearing. But don't take the foot off the gas. Your number one responsibility in your legacy is your children. They're the ones that carry your name.
Right.
And I wish I would have taken that more serious every single day of my life that I had a kid. And I do take it very serious. I don't want to come across that I don't, but that would be my 2 cents worth on it. Not an expert, but we'll bring some experts up here.
Bring the experts.
We'll bring some experts up here.
So
and we'll let you know when they come.
Yeah.
So we'll have to, I know we're going to have a couple different business owners up here. Maybe next episode we can go ahead and break that list and dates to people, or next episode or two, so that they know when we bring in some of these extras. We're going to bring in some spiritual advisors. We're going to bring in some financial advisors. We're going to bring in some local business authorities in different departments outside of plumbing and electrical. So this podcast, hopefully this was the most boring one that you're going to have, because I just don't feel there's that much to me sometimes. But I just can't wait to see the network start to happen, so that people can just meet other people too.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's give some insight more on the fun side of you.
Okay. All right. There we go.
When you can take your foot off the gas as a business owner, what do you like to do? Like, what are your hobbies you've got going on now, or stuff you've tried through the years? Maybe
Yeah.
like, oh, I kind of did this for a little bit.
Fishing.
Fishing.
Or fishing.
Fishing.
I love to fish. Saltwater fish, offshore fish.
Get in a stream, little trout fish.
I'll do trout fishing.
That's what I like.
Yep. I've been in the mountain streams and fly fished. I like that. Yeah. They hold the picture of the fish up different though. You ever notice, like, I got a picture, I've got a fish, a red or something, I'm holding it like that. Like, man, that was a fish.
Something like that.
No, when you catch that trout in the stream, you're like,
It's different.
it's like, what are you showing me,
It's a
dude?
different presentation.
a little different
It's
presentation
delicate.
there. Yeah, it's delicate.
You gotta look at the rainbow on the side.
Yeah, showing
it's
that color
delicate.
off a little bit.
Let the light hit it
Yeah.
just right.
The hardest fishing in the world is sail fishing, though. No, sword fishing. Sorry, sail fishing not so much. I like that.
Yeah.
Sword fishing is different. I got a chance to go, and the captain asked me before I went. He said, "You ever been sword fishing before?" I said, "Nope." He goes, I know why now. That is the most boring, hard-working grind you're ever going to go through in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you can get a sailfish to come up and hit top water and stuff like that, that's awesome. I love saltwater, offshore, mahi, all that kind of stuff. Great. But a swordfish lives so deep that they jig for them in the depths with squid or something, and they have lights they put on the line to kind of flash. They're down, I think we hooked into mine at 1,800 feet deep. Okay, and he's just trolling this break line, the continental break. So where the continent drops into the ocean is where we troll for them. So they eat squid that deep. Powerful fish. And he would say, let's jig now. What do you think of it if I say jig? Let's jig it a little bit. If you're fishing, what are you thinking? Like jig? Like jig. You know, you catch a crappie, jig a little bit.
Yeah.
Jig. Jigging for them is an electric reel that goes for the next 10 minutes. He raised it probably, I don't know, another 400 feet, and then he drops it again.
Wow.
10, 12
It's not
hours.
a flick of the wrist. You can just
10, 12 hours, you're just droning at a really slow speed along these drops, jigging, which is literally moving the reel up and down hundreds of feet at a time until you detect this bite that is kind of hard to detect. They have strike indicators out there. And then you if you fought it by hand, it would probably be more enjoyable, but it's very inefficient to try to reel up that powerful fish. It's just a massive fight. Mm-hmm. And we fight them with an electric reel and using the weight of the boat. And you just kind of play the fish electronically with those winches to winch them out of the deep. They're so powerful. Wow. But at the end of the day, you get your fish, and it's like, man, that was a job. Like, I am exhausted. And not even from fighting the fish, just from fishing for the fish. Mm-hmm. So that one might not be my favorite type of fishing, even though I thought it was. It was on my bucket list for years, catch a swordfish. I got my swordfish. I'm going to have it mounted. But, man, what a grind. I love a little quicker fishing. Like, I don't want to wait that long. Yeah. I like to rely on some experience once in a while. Just find that honey hole, you know.
That swordfish story, I've never been, so I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
Have you ever read Old Man in the Sea?
Oh yeah.
Anyway?
I've been to his house down there in the Keys. I love that story.
That gives so much insight.
Yeah.
And it's a baby of a novel, like a novella, I guess, technically, but that gives a lot of insight into what that they're going through.
Yeah,
and that
go down to
they
Key
didn't
West,
have that kind of stuff.
No, it didn't. You know, when I was fighting that swordfish, I thought the same thing, and I can't remember if his was a swordfish in that book or was
swordfish.
It was a swordfish.
Mm-hmm. He was looking for that one.
The
Moby Dick type.
Yeah, and
book.
you know, swordfish are like highly sought after. And I think because of the expense involved and the time involved with catching them, it becomes a bucket list type fish. Mm-hmm. And swordfish captains don't share their secrets.
Is it good eating?
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I like a little faster. I like catching crappie if you're up north, crappie if you're from here. But on really ultralight rods and jigs and stuff, and catching those are a lot of fun. I like bass fishing, I like red fishing, trout fishing. Just love being outside. That's my favorite thing to do now is just to get outside. And I think I like fishing because it's quiet. It's a place where my mind can kind of unwind. Right. Over the years, I've done working cow horse reining. It's been a hobby of mine. So Still have a rain cow horse that I like to fool around with sometimes. And then of course, you know, I had my hobby of baseball for a long time, but now I do it with my sons, you know, so I still on a baseball field a lot more than I probably need to be. That's what I do. And I like to read, you know.
So we mentioned The Old Man and the Sea. What are some of your favorite books you've read over the years? I mean, it can be business books, just personal story, or like fiction stories that you just really enjoyed. Like, what are some that you're like, oh, you've got to read these?
Yeah, you know, reading is an exercise, and I found that I read less efficiently than I used to because of all the entertainment we have. So one little word of advice is to read more, watch TV less, and be entertained a little less. But I grew up reading a Western writer named Louis L'Amour. Probably most people know of him. But anyway, he was an incredible writer. He did not write just Western novels. He wrote lots of historical novels too, and even has some that dabble in some science fiction a little bit. So he was my favorite writer, and that's where I get a lot of probably my ideals from, outside of just my raising, you know, and dad being a preacher and mom being a stay-at-home mom. But you know, rugged individual cowboy American, you know, that was, you know, building his cattle empire or his mining operations or whatever the case was. So I read all of his books. I have them all in leather-bound editions in my office. Tremendous, great reads for young adults. Just the way America used to be, a lot of history in them. I'm actually going to get to go to the Grand Canyon for the first time in my life next month, and awesome. I'm going to I'm trying to lose weight. I got to get down to 200 pounds so I can ride the mules to the bottom. They have a weight limit on them, but okay. I wanted to ride. It's an 8-hour trek. You got to ride a mule for 8 hours down to get to the bottom. You have lunch halfway down. So I'm excited about that. I read a lot about that region through him, so I feel like I have a connection to that region from my reading, but never actually been there. I'm going to go to the cave dwellings, the ancient cave dwellings of the Pueblo and the Anasazi, I think. Try to see those while I'm out there too. So that'll be fun. And then from a business reading standpoint, I like the Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Just a lot. This guy spent his whole life pretty much interviewing successful people. I mean, from how they spent their day to like what drove them. And just so you know, it was never money. It was always a passion well beyond money. So I think from a business standpoint, he's a good one to read. I like Larry Winget. He has he's a public speaker too. He talks about a kick butt approach to life. That's his whole thing. And he doesn't make excuses. He doesn't allow excuses. And I took a lot from that earlier in my days. It's just like, hey, no matter how bad it is, no matter how wrong someone did you, no matter what the circumstance, change it. You change it. Like, don't think somebody's going to come help make this right. And that's the problem with our society now. You know, everything's being handed to them and they're being understood, and they're, you know, we're allowed to get into our emotions to such a level that it's not useful. Ultimately, nobody cares. They only care about results, you know. And when you pick yourself up by the bootstraps and get after it, then they start to care. They're like, this guy's fighting. Like, I want to buy in. I'm going to help them. But they're not going to help you if you're just, like, crying about it.
Right.
Yeah, so those are some of them. And then I have to put in there the ultimate book of books, which is the collection of 66 books, the Bible. There's nothing you can do in business or in life that it doesn't touch on. It is the most fascinating of all the books ever written. So that's pretty much my reading list. You know, outside of some other little things here and there, but yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Do you have someone or something that particularly inspires you? I know people do draw on books for that inspiration. So it could be another book, but someone or something that just like, man, that resonated with me, or that helped me to get where I am.
Boy, this is a long interview. I always I try to avoid being inspired by another man too much. Not that they don't, because they certainly do. But you never know the whole truth, and everybody's so imperfect, right? You know, so whether it's the great, you know, American forefathers and all the stories around them, you know, they've been embellished. many times, or they have another side that's equally as dark and as everybody can have. So I like to just lean on my inspiration from higher sources, truthfully. I am inspired by other men, other business owners. I've mentioned some of my mentors. They are inspirational. But as far as I'm not a guy who says like Elon Musk, I want to be like him. I just don't. I just believe he's just very successful. It's the right place, right time. I believe, there's forces and families and money that's beyond who I am, who I'll ever be, and it's okay. So I like to receive my inspiration by what I think I should be doing on earth, and how I can make a change in my circle. So, just let God talk to you. I mean, all those books I mentioned to you are all inspirational. They all inspire you for things that you want to accomplish in this life. So most definitely there. But at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's going to lay back and say, I'm so glad that I was inspired by a so-and-so or a movement. And that's what they're thinking about at the end. Do you?
Probably more rare than
unless
there's some kind of super fan type, maybe I was just trying to be this, but no,
Jeff Bezos or something. Yeah.
At that point, you're looking more at yourself.
What about you?
My inspiration?
Yeah. I'm flipping on you. Now, who would you say would be an inspirational figure for you?
My poster down there is a big one, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I don't know how many times I read the book Salt in His Shoes and then watched the VHS of Space Jam as a kid, just over and over and over. And he is a great inspiration for me, both as an athlete. I played basketball. I was never that good at all. I'm not going to kid myself. I never was like that, but still an inspiration. You're out in the driveway, in your mind, you're Game 7 NBA Finals, 5, 4, 3, and take the shot. I just walked it off and won it all. That's playing in your mind as a kid. But for sure, Michael, I'll throw Kobe Bryant on there too. In the same vein, I think his mentality was just like the Mamba mentality. That guy was different.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm going to work so hard that I'm going to make my practices harder than what Game 7 of the finals will be for us. So that's easy when we get there.
Yeah, I mean, if we get into like that too, I mean, I got to say, most people know I'm a Georgia fan, diehard Bulldog fan. I love them. I love the old dogs, man. Like Kirby Smart in some ways. But I do like to look into coaches' lives because they really are fascinating. How are they able to motivate these young guys to do the things they do? And one that is just really inspirational from a business standpoint is Nick Saban. As a dog fan, I can't stand him, right? But I've read his book. What was it called? Chasing the Bear. If you haven't read it, I think it's by Lars Mars or something like that, but it's called Chasing the Bear, and it made a life comparison between Nick Saban and Paul Bear Bryant. But his attention to detail and the process,
that was Kobe too.
Is and I think most of the greats, it's relentless. So from that standpoint, I would have to say that the way Nick Saban came on the scene in college football back in 2006 or 2007, where he actually really got to Alabama and started shaking things up. If you ever have a chance to read it, hate him or not, very, very interesting. Very interesting. If you want to be successful, if you want to have consistent success, because that's another thing. You can be succsuccessful and have flashes, and you have no idea how it happened because it's luck. But to do it over and over again, it's not luck. You do it, several times in a row, you know what you're doing. Right. And you have a process. So trying to find that process, that's good.
And I'll give you 2 more for inspiration. Okay. No more questions. We're going to wrap this thing up here, but I already mentioned one, Jocko.
Yeah.
And then a guy I feel like is in the same vein, different approach. And I talked to you about him as Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
I feel like those are great. I know you said don't look at men for certain things, but
that's just my thing, and I got that. I think I got that from my dad. I remember him saying one time, he's like, I'm not going to look up to anybody except for Jesus. And, you know, and that just resonated. There's a lot of truth to that. So I think I'm always careful on doing that. But I'm like you. I have tons of guys that I look up to and like, man, you're amazing at what you do. And that's what God designed us to be, like individual.
Yeah.
We shouldn't all look the same. Your business should not look the same as mine. We shouldn't, you know, we have all these programs like Nexstar, Praxis, all these different things, right, to guide us into the ultimate business. But, you know, the ultimate business is just one that's you, that's doing exactly, and the people that are your customers want your service. They don't want somebody else's services. My customers don't necessarily want Preferreds, or they don't want Corley's, or they don't want Waldrop service. They want Justin's service. And their customers don't want my service, very, very likely. So, you know, being yourself is huge.
Right.
You can't really put a number on that or quantify that.
Well, Justin.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing yourself here today. Thank you for just the time and giving people a look at, you know, I've heard about the business. You know, here's the owner. Let me know a little bit more about him. So thank you.
Yeah, man.
For that. And for the upcoming episodes, again, I'll put on here that if anybody has any questions, or if you want to be a guest on a podcast in the near future, just send a request to josh@acehomeco.com, and that question or that request will come straight to me, and I'll be able to filter those into the future episodes going forward.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that. Like I did touch on some things that may raise questions with people. If you have questions or comments for me, or you want to talk to me privately about business or whatever we're talking about on these things, or meet people that are going to be on here, you can also message me directly at justin@acehomeco.com. So don't hesitate. That's what the whole idea behind this platform is, to get to know each other in the community.
And just leave a comment, interact with us. And,
hopefully everybody enjoyed that. That was a lot of talking, man, but I enjoyed it. I feel like it helps me even get some things lined up in my head. So, Josh, I enjoy this podcast. Thank you, man. You're doing a great job with it.
Thank you.
All right. See you.